What's going on, Lions fans? Welcome to the Pride of Detroit YouTube channel. My name is Miko, and this is your go-to place for all things Lions related. That includes news, updates, analysis, and so much more. And in today's videos, we're going to be talking about the news that broke today coming out of the Allen Park, with the Lions deciding to re-sign linebacker Derrick Barnes to a 3-year, $25.5 million contract with $16 million guaranteed. Now, before we get into the details of this deal and what I think it means for the Lions going forward, if this is your first time ever coming and checking out Pride of Detroit, I highly recommend that you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That's going to make it so much easier for you to find our content in the future. It also will make it easier for you to be notified when we upload new videos and when we decide to go live over here on both YouTube and Twitch. So with all of that stuff out the way, let's get into the details when it comes down to Derrick Barnes' contract. Like I said, it is a 3-year extension for $25.5 million with $16 million guaranteed. Now, Derrick Barnes was drafted by the Lions back in 2021 in the 4th round. And since being drafted, he has found his way into the starting lineup for the Detroit Lions each and every season that he's played. Recently in 2024, he transitioned more from playing in the box to playing more of that Sam linebacker role, which is a role where, again, you're almost like a glorified edge player, but you're tasked with the responsibility of being able to cover, be able to blitz, as well as be able to defend the run. And the Lions had been looking for someone to do that for a number of years. And Derrick Barnes finally kind of molded his game to be able to fit that role specifically. Unfortunately, in 2024, his season was pretty short-lived. He only got to play in 3 games before he unfortunately tore his PCL and his MCL and was basically lost for the rest of the season. But despite that, the Lions still felt obligated to reward Derrick Barnes with a new contract. And I'll be honest with you guys, I was a little surprised when this news first broke. Not because I didn't think that Derrick Barnes was deserving to be, extended and stay on this roster, but we've talked about it numerous times on this channel as free agency has kind of crept up, is that like, hey, the Lions are getting to the point where you just can't afford to keep everybody. That at some point in time, we're going to see the Lions choose not to re-sign certain players. And we're going to, as a collective, as a fan base, some people may, scratch their head as like, hey, why did they not re-sign that person? That person is really needed. They need the depth. They need the talent, whatever the case may be. And that's kind of where this team has gotten to with their ability to accumulate so many draft picks and so many of those draft picks to hit. Derrick Barnes, for me, was a player that I thought would possibly be a cap casualty in that way, and that not that they didn't think he was talented enough, but just like, hey, maybe we have to prioritize a Kirby Joseph, getting his money versus, prioritizing a Derrick Barnes. And I can at least say and be so happy in at least admitting, I'm glad I was wrong on that one. I'm glad that the Lions did, in fact, decide to prioritize Derrick Barnes and bring him back into the fold, because going into this offseason and going into free agency, linebacker was going to be a huge need when you looked at the fact that, like, okay, the Lions had Jack Campbell, they have Alex Anzalone for one more season, they have Malcolm Rodriguez under contract, but after that, like, the depth and the talent of that group was very much going to be in question. And it was something that, like, I was prepared to get into with Morgan as far as like, hey, where do the Lions, find more linebacker depth going into free agency? But by re-signing Derrick Barnes, you at least are able to retain that starting Sam linebacker that I think is going to be very important for this defense going forward. Now, beyond Derrick Barnes' ability to play the Sam linebacker role, I actually think this deal is a really good sign for the Lions defense as a whole going forward. Like I mentioned, Alex Anzalone only has one more year on his contract. That 2026 year that's on his contract is actually a voided year. So unless the Lions once again decide to extend him, 2025 would be the last time we would see him in a Lions uniform. And if the Lions decided not to re-sign Alex Anzalone, which again is a possibility, Alex Anzalone is getting up there in age. He's going to be 31 this season. He'll be 32 going into 2026. The Lions could decide to pivot from him and go to Derrick Barnes as their starting will linebacker, which is a really important thing of note, because while, like I said, Barnes is transitioning to play more Sam linebacker, he was at least doing that in 2024, and I at least expect him to do the same in 2025. The bulk of his career prior to last year was played with him being an in-the-box linebacker, which again, him either being the Mike linebacker or in those first couple seasons with Alex Anzalone being the Mike linebacker, Derrick Barnes playing the will. So it wouldn't be a very difficult transition for him to go back to playing that role if the Lions decided not to re-sign Alex Anzalone. Yes, it would open up the need of like, okay, what are the Lions going to do at Sam linebacker once again? But still, you at least know that Derrick Barnes is someone that I think they view as a cornerstone of their defense by them choosing to give him this extension and kind of have his contract run very much in line with that of Jack Campbell so that this becomes your linebacking core of the future. It also gives them an opportunity to once again continue to evaluate Malcolm Rodriguez because again, if Malcolm continues to improve, then maybe they elevate him to that will linebacker spot in 2026 and they decide to have Derrick Barnes continue to play the Sam linebacker role. But even if that's his quote unquote role, Barnes at least has shown the versatility to play all three linebacker spots. So not only do you have a starter at Sam, you also have a replacement in the event that an injury occurs at the Mike spot or at the Will spot, that Derrick Barnes can literally slot into any of those roles. And he's not going to be like taking a step back or be at a disadvantage in any of those positions. Another thing that I also wanted to highlight with this deal getting done is that it once again highlights Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell when they talk about wanting to reward guys that they believe as cornerstone guys, or they want to just again continue to reward the players that they have drafted and that they view as quote unquote their guys. Derrick Barnes to me is the epitome of that. When you look at how hard he's worked, how much he's improved year to year, and even with his ability to take on another new linebacker position just so that he can continue to be on the field. Like he could have been a player that's like, no, I want to play, the Mike spot, or I want to play the Will spot. I don't want to have to, transition to the Sam. But instead, he took that responsibility. He took on that challenge and rose to the challenge to actually, show that he was capable of playing that position at a high level. And I think that's something that the Lions front office really valued. It goes beyond just what he's doing on the field, because like I said, even prior to him transitioning to the Sam role, Derrick Barnes was playing very well for this defense. He had that game sealing interception in the playoffs against the Bucks. He was just continuing to find ways of making plays on the football field, no matter where they lined him up at. And so while, like I said, it may have been a little shocking at first that the Lions decided to re-sign him, it actually makes a lot of sense when you look at just that their pedigree and their determination to want to reward guys that are improving and that are playing well. And you look at just how he's approached the game as a pro. He's again family man, not getting in any type of trouble. It's a real testament to, again, that front office. It's also a huge testament to Derrick Barnes because he clearly wanted to be here as well. Again, he could have had that mindset of like, hey, I want to go play somewhere where I get to be the Mike, or where, I don't have to just have this weird, type of hybrid role where I get to play more of a traditional linebacker. He clearly, valued his time here. He clearly probably values the relationships he has here in Detroit. And so that is another, example that we get to kind of see with this contract being done. And going forward, now that he gets to have his linebacker coach now be his defensive coordinator, it's going to be interesting to see how Kelvin Shepherd utilizes a Derrick Barnes, who, like I said, is almost like a really good chess piece for that linebacker core. Jack Campbell has clearly started to rise the ranks in terms of like, I thought he had a very good sophomore season playing middle linebacker. So I don't think there's going to be many opportunities for others to play middle linebacker as long as Jack is healthy. But you do have that versatility of, again, flipping Derrick Barnes between that Sam role and that Will role. You can really match up however you decide to choose based on your opponent. If you feel like there's a week where it's like, hey, Derrick Barnes would probably be better playing the Sam and we want to have him there continuing to do the hybrid stuff, you can do that. If you feel like for whatever reason, based on the skill players on the other team, like, hey, we need, a bump in athleticism at the Will spot, you can literally start to rotate out Alex Anzalone and Derrick Barnes so that he's still getting a good chunk of snaps. But I do really think that this contract is a clear sign that Derrick Barnes is not just their long-term solution at Sam. I think he is a long-term solution for them at the Will linebacker spot as well. And that's something that I'm really looking forward to seeing how that develops in training camp this year, because he will be healthy. He will be able to go back out and get onto the field and see how that dynamic starts to change, because clearly the Lions value him and clearly they want him on the field as much as they possibly can. And I think that's something that's at least worth keeping an eye on as the season continues to develop. So with that said, guys, that's pretty much going to do it for my reaction to the Derrick Barnes news with him getting this new contract. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Were you surprised that he got this contract? Do you think he deserved to have this contract? And what are your expectations for Derrick Barnes going forward now that he's got this new money? You know, do you have even higher expectations for him, or do you expect him to just continue to be the player that he's been and continuing to just slowly progress year after year? Would love to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. Also, be sure to hit the like button on this video. Also, like I said at the top, if you haven't subscribed, please make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell. It will truly help you out immensely when it comes down to finding our content in the future. And if you want to find any more additional Lions content, you can always check out prideofdetroit.com. We have new articles being uploaded every single day. So if you want to see whether it's the breakdown of Derrick Barnes' contract or any other free agency news that may break between now and the start of free agency, you want to be checking out the website. So with all that said, I'm Miko. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.